Okay, so here's the second video on grades. And if I haven't convinced you now that we're in trouble, that we're really going to hit that iceberg, this is probably the one that will kind of wake you up to that. I think I hopefully have done a decent job of kind of showing you where we are. But this one's pretty dramatic. So basically, this is a percentage of students failing at least one class last year versus this year. And you look at the grades 6, 7, and 8. The blue is last year. So it's right around 10% of students failing one class. Then you look at this year, and it's actually doubled. So it's 100% worse, I guess. It's doubled. Kids that are failing at least one class. Well, I put a little, arrow and question mark there. It's interesting here. One thing I didn't, and this has nothing to do with COVID, but it's interesting that we go from a 10% failure rate to almost a 20% failure rate when we go to high school. So something's not right there. I mean, maybe that's normal, but it feels to me like we're kind of not getting these kids ready for high school as well as we should. When we go from a 10% up to almost a 20%, failure rate. That has nothing to do with COVID, but it's just kind of an observation. In high school, grades 9, 10, and 11, we have 1 in 4 that are failing a class. So 1 in 4, it's, anywhere from 6% up to, in terms of absolute percent change, up to about 9% change. But 1 in 4 in high school is failing a class. And you get to grade 12, and by that point, the kids are, they're doing underwater basket weaving and, a couple, normal classes, but they're kind of moved on and probably not as impacted as much by this. And I have a senior, by the way, so I'm not throwing anybody under the bus here. I know how this goes. But anyway, guys, this is a pretty dramatic, change. And this is kind of when we talk about harm to our kids. I mean, this is pretty harmful. These kids are failing classes. They're less engaged, obviously, with school. They're not interested. And I'm going to talk a little bit pretty soon here, one of my videos about fine arts and kind of how that's playing into this. And I think there's some interesting things going on that are contributing to this issue. But this is virtual. This is just the way the teachers are teaching, that they're not used to. It's the mask, it's all kinds of stuff. But this is kind of the result of all the policies that we have in place, that we have, double the amount of kids in middle school that are failing, and we have 1 in 4 in high school that are failing a class.